If you're over 30, your childhood probably involved a fair amount of unsupervised time, climbing trees, riding bikes until the streetlights came on, and navigating social risks in person. But for today's adolescents, that play-based childhood has been effectively wiped out. Today, nearly 95% of youth aged 13 to 17 use social media, with 1/3 reporting they are online almost constantly. As a parent or educator, you've likely felt that something is off. You aren't alone. 70% of parents report that parenting is significantly more difficult today than it was 20 years ago, citing technology and social media as the primary reasons. But here is the most critical finding from recent research. It isn't just the screen time that matters. A landmark study by researchers at Columbia and Weill Cornell reveals that addictive use, patterns that interfere with schoolwork and responsibilities, is a much stronger predictor of anxiety, depression, and suicidal behaviour than the total number of hours spent on a device. The core issue is a fundamental mismatch between persuasive technology and the developing adolescent brain. Between the ages of 10 and 19, the brain's reward centres, those sensitive to social approval and peer opinions, mature much faster than the prefrontal cortex, which handles impulse control and long-term planning. Social media platforms are engineered to exploit this biological vulnerability. Features like infinite scrolling, likes, and autoplay function as digital dopamine, mirroring the neurological pathways of gambling or substance addiction. When a teen struggles to put the phone down, they aren't just being difficult, they are caught in a habit formation loop that their brain is not yet biologically equipped to break. As the US Surgeon General warned, we cannot yet conclude that these platforms are sufficiently safe for children. So how did things get this bad? Social psychologist Jonathan Haidt calls it the great rewiring of childhood. The shift really started back in the 1980s and 90s, when parents began hovering over their kids more than ever before. Suddenly, letting children play outside unsupervised felt dangerous, even though the actual risks were pretty exaggerated. Adults became convinced the world was far more threatening than it actually was, and outdoor play without constant supervision became increasingly rare. The definitive shift occurred between 2010 and 2015, when adolescents traded flip phones for smartphones equipped with high-speed internet and addictive social algorithms. We effectively moved childhood from the physical world to the virtual world. The result is a society that overprotects children in the real world while underprotecting them in the virtual world, a place where they are vulnerable to cyberbullying, predatory behaviour, and toxic social comparison. There's a real debate happening right now among experts about how to handle this, and honestly, they're all over the map. Some people, like Jonathan Haidt, think we need to take a hard line. He's pushing for what he calls 4 simple rules. No smartphones until high school, no social media before 16, phone-free schools, and more independence for kids in the real world. Australia's already going down this path, moving to ban social media for anyone under 16, but not everyone's convinced that outright bans are the answer. Organisations like UNICEF and a lot of educators worry that cutting kids off completely might actually do more harm than good. They argue that kids have a right to be part of the digital world and that what we really need to focus on is teaching them how to navigate it safely. And they make a fair point. For some young people, especially those who might feel isolated or marginalised, online communities can genuinely be a lifeline. Then there's a third camp that's less focused on what parents or kids should do and more on what tech companies need to change. Legal experts, and even the Surgeon General, are calling for what they call safety by design. Basically, they think it shouldn't all fall on parents' shoulders. Instead, they want laws that force social media platforms to get rid of the addictive features and predatory algorithms that hook kids in the first place. The consequences of inaction are visible in the data. 46% of teen girls report that social media makes them feel worse about their bodies, and teens who spend more than 3 hours a day on these platforms face double the risk of depression and anxiety. Frequent use is also linked to text neck syndrome, severe sleep deprivation, and attention fragmentation. So what can those of us over 30 actually do about this? There's a framework called the 3-6-9-12 rule that gives you some concrete benchmarks. No screens before age 3, hold off on video games until 6, wait until 9 for internet access, and then carefully introduce social media after 12. It's not perfect for every family, but it at least gives you something to work with. The American Academy of Pediatrics takes a more personalised approach with their family media plan. The key recommendations that keep coming up are pretty straightforward. Keep screens out of mealtimes and make sure there's at least an hour of screen-free time before bed. Sleep quality really suffers when kids are on devices right up until they close their eyes. But here's the thing that's probably most important. Our own screen habits matter more than we'd like to admit. Kids pick up what we do, not what we say. If we're constantly scrolling through our phones, telling them to put their devices away doesn't carry much weight. We have to actually model the boundaries we're trying to set. We are currently living through a decades-long experiment where our children are the canaries in the coal mine. As adults, we have to ask ourselves, are we comfortable with algorithms and likes defining our children's self-worth? or should we be the ones guiding them? The goal isn't to fear technology, but to master it. As the WHO suggests, our children should rule social media and not have social media ruling them. It starts with one device-free dinner or one honest conversation. What is one tech-free zone you can commit to in your household tonight? Share your ideas in the comments below.